Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our NAWBO Member Love Live. We are super excited to be joining you guys today, and we are live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Karie, if you're not nervous yet, you are now. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. Karie, you are the owner of Rising Skye Profits. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. Yes, my name is Karie Huber, owner of Rising Skye Profits. I do bookkeeping services, and I also consider myself a profit strategist. It's not just important to have your books clean for your business, but it's also important to make sure that you're striving for a goal and you're saving you're saving money for your business and making sure it's profitable.
Mhm. Amazing, amazing. And I know, you've been a member for a little bit, but tell us how your business has even evolved even since joining NAWBO. I think you've gone through a lot of growth, and that's always been exciting to see.
Yes. So I went through the startup program. It's probably been about a year and a half now since I did that. And that was fantastic. I met a lot of incredible women who were in different stages of their business, whether it was just an idea or they were just getting it off the ground. And it was a great program, to make sure that all the steps I have taken were the right steps. And so I was like, okay, I'm so far on a good path. And then there were other things where I needed to to do. I was like, okay, I don't
Mhm.
have this, but let me work on this and
Yeah.
things like that. So that was my first experience with NAWBO was the startup program, and it was great. I loved it. So probably halfway through that program is when I decided to become a member.
Mm.
Uh, I just felt the community was very welcoming,
Mhm.
and I met a lot of great women who were in all stages of their business. Had
Mhm.
support from women who were just starting out, and we could bounce ideas off of each other or
Mhm.
cry and realize that we're all in this together. We're all going through the same thing.
Yeah.
To mentors, I have some great mentors along my side that I can reach out to anytime to ask the silly questions, because
Mhm.
there's no one, I'm a solo entrepreneur, and there's no one to turn to over here and be like, help, I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And so it's been great to have these women by my side through this journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think your skill set is so vital too for our members to be able to have that resource to tap into and use your expertise when you are able to kind of help them understand that profit side of their business, because I think everybody assumes bookkeeping is just your quick categorizing. Let me tell you what this expense was for. Let me tell you, and just check, 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 check. How do you kind of go above and beyond for your clients?
I want to make sure that not only are they tax time ready, I mean, that's important, but you want to make sure your business is profitable.
Mhm.
Your business is not a hobby. You
Mhm.
started a business, you have a reason for starting your business. And I want to make sure that they end up being profitable. Otherwise, your business is running you, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So I provide my clients with tips as much as I can. Something as simple as open up a savings account. Like, let's start
Mm.
putting some of this money off to the side. You're doing really well, but let's tuck away some of this money in case something happens for a rainy day, um, laptop breaks, equipment breaks, you've got a leak in your store, whatever the case may be. Let's tuck this money away.
Yep.
So it could be something as simple as that, or even I could have the savings account, but they're not doing anything with it because they just don't know what they should be doing. And it's
Mhm.
just start small. I always just start small. It may sound scary to like save money, but you'd be surprised at what a small amount can add up to over time. And
Mhm.
then it becomes a habit. Get
Yeah.
into the habit of doing saving for profit first, as opposed to
Mhm.
like waiting to the end and being like, well, I don't have anything left over. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm not saving any money this month.
Right.
So actually be intentional with it. It's certainly a different mind shift because when you look
Yeah.
at your income statement, it's income minus expenses, and that's what's left over.
Hmm.
And so I try to teach my clients to think of it the other way around is like save for profit first, and then whatever's left over, use for your expenses.
I love that. I love that perspective shift because you're right. It's not a hobby. We want to be able to be successful and,
Mhm.
contribute to our dreams and goals and, long-term vision for our life. So, you mentioned tax time. It is, beginning of February. Everybody's starting to kind of panic and look at like, oh, did I track everything I was supposed to in
Mhm.
2024? Is it too late to bring on a bookkeeper now if you need help this year with taxes? Or what do you tell people if they're kind of in that, oh my gosh, what do I do phase right now?
No, it's never too late. Like start now. It's Yeah, highly recommend. I mean, it's only February. You still have a couple months. Now is better than never. So yeah, find someone to help if you're stressed and it gives you anxiety and you've been putting it off all year.
Mhm.
Contact someone. Just call them up and see what their availability is like as we get closer to March, April timeframe. You likely may not be able to get in with the bookkeeper to file your taxes before April 15th.
Mhm.
So now's a great time. Sometimes you might have to file an extension, but now is still a great time to get things closed up for 2024.
Absolutely. So do you have, you mentioned you focus a little bit on that female founder, business, female owned business. Is there a particular type of business that you like to work with or size business that this is too big, too small? Here's my, kind of just right size business. What would you say is your ideal client?
So I typically focus on like any type of service-based providers. So that can be marketing. I have a few realtors, membership-based businesses, things like that is my go-to and what I'm really passionate about. Size-wise, it really doesn't matter. I have everything from a solo entrepreneur who's just starting out to businesses with 10 plus employees. And
Mhm.
so, but my service-based providers is who I'm most passionate about. They're providing some type of service in the community, whether that's for other businesses or for general customers.
Okay, fantastic. So tell me a little bit more. The name Rising Skye Profits. I can imagine Rising Profits. Got it. Okay, where does the sky come from? Where does the name in general? Where did that origin come from?
So it was a long journey. When I first opened up my LLC, I was KO Bookkeeping Services. It was the first business decision I had to make when I wanted to do this. And I was like, I don't know, I'm going to use my first and middle initials. And I provide bookkeeping services. So that's what I'm going to call it. But along my journey, after about a little over a year into it, I realized that I was more than just a bookkeeper. And I wanted the name of my business to reflect that. And so I did a lot of name searching, and I had this vision in my head, and it just needed to come out.
Mhm.
It also comes from somewhat of a personal experience. My family and I vacation almost every summer to Cozumel in Mexico every year.
Ah, okay.
And there's this place that you can only get there by boat, and it's called El Cielo. And cielo is sky or heaven in Spanish. And so
Hmm.
every time we come up on these waters, it's crystal clear waters. I always see this clarity and I envision clarity and confidence. And to me, it was just like it was limitless. Like there was just no end in sight. And it
Hmm.
was just absolutely gorgeous. And so I had that ocean in mind when I was trying to envision the name of my business.
Hmm.
And so I went through multiple rounds of names, trying to figure out which would fit. And I ended up with Rising Skye because the sky to me is limitless and there's endless possibilities. And for your
Mhm.
business, I feel that there's endless possibilities for your business too. And so your profit there shouldn't be a limit on your profit. And so
Mm.
that's where I came with Rising Skye Profits.
I love it. I love it. So much more of an emotional connection to that versus kale bookkeeping,
Yeah.
you can
Yes.
you can totally see you're starting to kind of hone in on your vision and, as part of that, helping hone in on your clients' visions as well, which is a fantastic thing. What brought you to San Antonio? Were you born and raised here? Did you get here eventually? Kind of one of those, oh, I'm not from Texas, but I got here as fast as I could kind of thing. What's your journey?
I born and raised in San Antonio. So I
Mhm.
love it here. All my family's here. My husband's family's here. Um, so I don't intend on leaving San Antonio anytime soon. It's my home.
Mhm.
I love it here. It's that small town feeling. It's big, but it still has that small town feeling. Like just last night,
Mhm.
I was at a networking event, and there was like another woman across the room, and her and I were just like looking at each other like we know each other, but we don't know from where. And so
Yeah.
after about 20 minutes, we literally backtracked and finally we realized high school. And
Oh my
so yeah,
gosh.
I was just like, oh my gosh, just like it took us a while because we're both in business. So we're like, nope, that's not it. Nope,
Yeah.
that's not it. We just kept going backwards and
Yeah.
sure enough, we landed at high school. So
That's awesome.
it's just a small world. You'll never know who you'll like kind of catch up with. But yeah,
Mhm.
born and raised in San Antonio. I love it here.
Awesome, awesome. And so I feel like too, sometimes you hear, some of our members say, well, I'm not from here. So I joined NAWBO because I wanted to build some of those local connections and things like that. But for you being, born and raised from here, some people might think, well, gosh, she doesn't need a network. She's already got her network. She's been here her whole life. What was it about NAWBO that helped kind of bring a different element to sort of your journey as an entrepreneur?
So to backtrack to my experience prior to starting my business, I was in corporate for over 15 years,
Mhm.
and it was right out of college. So after college, I started my corporate job, and that was my group, that was my community. And then I realized after leaving my corporate job, I needed a new community.
Mhm.
And so it was as much as like I'm a bookkeeper, I like the numbers, I like the spreadsheets. For a while, I was like, I can totally do this without a community. But then I realized, no, you cannot. It was a very quick, as much as I don't like talking to new people because it's scary, it's intimidating. This was all new ground to me.
Mhm.
I was like, in order for me to make this happen, I was like, this is what I need to do. I need a
Mhm.
community. And it was very different coming from corporate, going into an entrepreneurial community space. But I
Mhm.
quickly found out that everyone is welcoming and everyone is going through the same thing. And when
Mhm.
we're first starting off, we all have the same questions. So that's part of the reason why I joined NAWBO. It's because I needed that community, whether it was for new client referrals, or referral partners, or
Mhm.
just for guidance on
Mhm.
the day-to-day operations of my business,
Yeah.
questions to help me answer. I mean, I can do bookkeeping, but that doesn't mean I can do the marketing and the sales. And so
Yeah.
that was a huge learning curve for me.
Yeah.
It was just marketing and sales alone,
Mhm.
is being able to sell myself.
Right.
And I never thought I would be a salesperson, uh,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that's not me. But I'm doing it because this is what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too, so many women entrepreneurs are intimidated by the sales factor, but when you feel passionate about what you're doing and you're not trying to be a used car salesman and, all smoke and mirrors and tricking people into deals. Like, you're being very genuine and authentic, and I think that's the best kind of sales process. So, you're very good at it, and certainly, I'm sure many of us could learn a lot from your approach. But um, what advice would you give to the corporate woman who might be kind of stuck in that job? She's been there for 5, 10, 15 years, and she's kind of starting to get that itch of like, gosh, wouldn't it be cool if I went out on my own? What advice, assuming it's not don't do it, don't don't even think about it. What advice would you give to that corporate woman who might be in that position?
Oh, um, I would say just try it out. I mean, I didn't just take the leap
Mm,
and then start my business. I started it while I was working my corporate job,
mm,
and I had gone to networking events and tried to see what it would be like for me to actually be in this position. And
yeah.
is this something that people actually wanted? Is it something people need? Am I passionate about it? As I mean, you can be thinking about something, and then once you start doing it, you're like, oh, that's not really what I thought it was going to be like. So
Hmm.
try it out. And that's exactly what I did. I told my husband, I said, I'm going to open up my LLC. He's like, okay. I was like, I'm going to go to this networking event. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to try. And so, and I was just like, it was little by little. I mean, these like baby steps, but
Yeah.
looking back on my journey, if I wouldn't had just tried, I never would have known what it would be like or what it could ended up like. Like I had a set timeline as to when I was going to leave my corporate job, but I ended
Mm,
up pushing it up because
wow.
I was getting too busy doing both. And I was just like, I'm either going to drop the ball on my corporate job or I'm going to drop the ball with my current clients. And I
Yeah.
don't want either one of those.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of planning involved between me and my husband too, just,
Hmm.
making sure um, that we could financially take this leap because my business wasn't there yet,
Hmm.
but I couldn't get it there without leaving my corporate job.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of discussion with him, making sure he's on board with it too. It took him longer than it took me, and I gave him the time. I
Mhm.
gave him the time to get on board, and then he saw how passionate I was about it, and he got on board, and we made it work.
Yeah. Where do you feel like that confidence came from to say, "I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm gonna go ahead and make this leap." Like, there's that gap of, like, you're right, there's that tipping point of, like, it's not quite full time, it's not quite replacing my income, but I'm gonna go ahead and go for it. Where did you draw from in order to have that sense of confidence?
There was a lot,
Mhm,
because I'm not a risk taker at all. I was in a very safe position at work. I'd been there
mhm,
for 15 years. I had grown. I was doing very well, nice cushiony paycheck, and with the benefits, with the retirement plan, like it was like everyone's like, "You're crazy," and I was like,
mhm,
"Yes," but on the other side there was this other piece of like my family. And
mm,
and that's where like my heart was pulling towards.
mm,
And I said, I can't make this work anymore in the corporate
mhm.
environment.
Yeah.
Like my children need me more than what my corporate job is allowing me.
Mm,
And the stress and the demands of the corporate job.
yeah,
Not saying that my business doesn't bring on the stress and the demands,
right.
but I can be there for my kids when they get home from school.
Mhm,
I can take off a day to go on a field trip.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so it was really like and I really just looked at my kids because they're only young once. And
mm,
so I
yep,
said, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it now, not when they're in college and they don't need me anymore.
right.
Or even in high school when they're not really that into your parents anymore. So I was like, I need to do this now. They're
Yeah,
young. And so it was really just putting my focus on them because they're my why.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
knowing that if I can go to school and graduate college and start a job all on my own and be there for 15 years, like I realized I did all of that on my own too. I
Mhm.
can do this too. And like I'm a smart girl, I can figure it out. And
Yes.
so that
Yes.
it was a lot of just talking to myself, lots of praying. I'm a woman of faith. I prayed a lot, and I finally took the leap of faith. And I said, if this
Mhm.
doesn't work, I can go back. Like I left on great terms, you know. I said that'd be last
Yeah.
case scenario, but I can
Yeah.
always go back.
Yeah. 100%. So what do your how do your kids feel now? What do they say? What do they think mom does? Are they like at that age where they can kind of understand my mom's an entrepreneur? Or are they just like, I don't know, she makes my sandwiches and I love her. I don't
Yeah,
know.
a little bit. So last year at my daughter's preschool, she participated. We live out towards Bernie, and so Bernie has a lemonade day for
Yes.
young entrepreneurs. And so
Yeah.
her classroom it was able to participate in that. And during the discussions with their teacher and stuff, they're like, "Can we think of anyone who owns a business?" And my daughter actually realized that that's my mom, like she owns a business. And so and that was at the age of 5. So I was really impressed that she was able to make the connection that um, I'm not going to an office working for someone. And when I was leaving my corporate job, we had those discussions with them. Said,
Mhm. Mhm.
mom's changing jobs. I'm going to be working for myself at home, but I might have to go out in the evenings to meet other people so my business can grow. And
Yeah.
so we try to involve them as much as we can. They're
Mhm.
6 and 9. Um, my daughter's more into it than my son is. He's just like, okay, mom, like as long as I see my friends and I get to play football, like it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
I see my daughter into it, and every now and then she drops little things, or like she'll be carrying her phone around and have her earbuds in, and she's like texting. I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm texting a client, and I was like, oh, I was like, okay. So I see it more like from her side.
Mhm.
It's fun to
Mhm.
watch them.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I love that they're getting to see that and, have those memories of you growing up and how inspiring for them to watch you build something, of your own. So,
Mhm.
so walk me through a little bit. You mentioned you kind of came to NAWBO from our startup program and kind of getting your feet wet in that way. What was it about that program, or maybe some of your initial engagements with NAWBO? What was it that made you feel like, okay, this is actually an organization I want to join versus just pop in for a quick startup program and then see you later kind of thing?
I think for me, because I had heard about NAWBO for a while, but
Mhm.
I kind of had this assumption that it was for like more well-established businesses. And so when I did the startup, I was just like, and I'd gone to a couple events, and I was like, well, wait a minute. I was just like, I think this is something I can do. Um, and then just going to some of the networking events like lunch connections, things like that. I realized that this was something I needed, not just for my business, but it's also I also sometimes go just to get my cup filled for myself.
Mm. Mhm.
And as especially a solo entrepreneur, I'm by myself most of the day unless I go out to a networking event. And so
Yep.
now that I have formed a relationship with these women, like it's good to go and see them. I'm not just like networking and trying to get business, but I'm actually forming relationships with these women, and it just feels more natural to
Mhm.
go. And I have that just natural sense of relationships with them.
Yeah.
And that's important in business and then just for my own personal well-being as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you said fill your cup. That was our theme a couple years ago for the summit, and we went and talked about filling your cup that year. The next year I think was like build your own table. I don't know what household object our theme is going to be this year, but we seem to have a little bit of a theme going on. So what would you say to somebody else who is a solopreneur or they're kind of starting out and, in that same kind of space? If they're shy, if they're a little bit nervous about meeting people, what would be your advice to them as far as trying out NAWBO?
I would say, yeah, because I was definitely shy, nervous, all the things. Um, but try it one time. Nothing bad is going to happen. Or reach out if you know someone that attends regularly, or you know someone that's been kind of thinking about joining or wanting
Mhm.
to go. Ask them to come along with you so that you've got someone to go with. So it's not as intimidating to go into a room full of strangers that you don't know about.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then, like, I'm also happy to go with anyone as well. If you want to come as my guest, I'm happy
Mm.
to introduce you to people as well. It's a lot easier to go to events for the first time when you go with someone that you know.
Yes. Yeah, especially somebody that's already a member and then they can kinda walk you around and, "Oh my gosh, you need to know this person. You need to know
Yeah.
this person. Let me introduce you over here."
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the fact that we have our hospitality committee does a lovely job of that. We as a board always kinda know going into monthly meetings who's coming as a guest, and so, yeah, I think, Shannon and our whole board really have made a big intention to make sure that those first time guests feel, super welcome and have that similar experience no matter what. So what's next for Rising Sky Profits? What do you guys have planned for 2025 and beyond?
Uh, so for 2025, I am looking to continue to expand my client base and add on some additional services. I do want to do more of the consulting,
Mm,
whether that's with existing clients, new clients, or you're like if you're just looking for a consult, your strategy session. I can
mhm,
take a look at your finances and maybe find some gaps and holes, help you plan for your year, your 5 years ahead, whatever those goals may be,
mhm,
um, and help you figure out ways to make all that work, make your dreams come true. So
mhm.
that's what I'm hoping for 2025. My first part of the year is getting through tax season.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing for me. And then once tax season settles down, then I feel like that's when I can start kind of focusing on some of those other goals to expand my services.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we've got some folks that are interested in connecting with you, what's the best way to do that? Where can they find you on the web?
They can find me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. My website is risingskyprofits.com. LinkedIn is Karie Huber. Instagram and Facebook is Rising Skye Profits.
Awesome. And it's Skye, Skye, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All
Mhm.
right. RisingSkyProfits.com. Go check it out. Reach out to Karie if you are in the middle of panicking because of tax season, or if you've got it all together and you're ready to really start getting strategic this year. You will be in good hands with Rising Skye Profits. So, thank you so much for joining us, Karie. I had so much fun learning more about you and your journey. And if you are listening in and you would like to meet more women like Karie, you can absolutely scan that QR code up above and go to our website where on nowbosa.org we have all of our events that are coming up. We mentioned Summit just a little bit ago, but we've also got probably a dozen events between now and then as well, including our Women Business Owners Awards and Gala, which is going to be a new expansion for us this year to do a full blown gala raising money for our foundation. So we would love to see you there at any of our events coming up. And you will, I promise, find a friendly face, whether it's myself or Karie or one of our other hundreds of fabulous members. So thanks again, Karie, and we will talk to you soon.
Yes, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.